Did you think that building a coaching business would be easy? Because I did. In 2016, I left my six-figure job at Cisco because I realized time is the one thing that I could never get back. And I went all in on my coaching business. No safety net, no guarantees. And within about 12 months, I hit the seven-figure mark. But what most people don't see are the months and years before that. I made every mistake you can imagine. I chased validation, I overworked, I overthought. So to help you skip the pain and build a business with more impact, more income, and more freedom, here are the 17 lessons I wish I learned before I started my business. Lesson number 1. When I first started my coaching business, I was terrified of failing. So I went to a mentor of mine and I told him, I said, I am terrified of failure. I'm absolutely terrified. He said, no, you're not. If you could go build your business in a little black box that nobody could see, and you could fail 1,000 times before it started to work, and then once it started to work, you could pull it out of the black box and everybody would see it. Would you be okay with that? I said, yeah, that would be amazing. Lesson number 1 is fear of failure is actually the fear of judgment. In the end, the only opinion that actually matters is the opinion that you're going to have of yourself 1 year from now. Lesson number 2, as I got my business up and running, I really wanted to get to more people. So I had this bright idea of creating a $500 or $600 self-study course version of my program. The next month, I enrolled 8 to 10 people. Half of them were at 5,000 to 6,000, half of them were at 500 to 600. And this continued on for 2 or 3 months before I realized I was enrolling the exact same amount of people. So I was changing the exact same amount of lives, but I had cut my income in half. So lesson number 2 is it can be just as hard to sell a $500 program as it can be to sell a $5,000 program. And the worst part, the $500 clients don't even get great results. Lesson number 3. When I first quit my corporate job, the vast majority of my friends were other corporate employees. And the majority of them didn't really understand what I was doing when it came to quitting and launching my business. And because of that, when I would miss weekends out with them or happy hours with them or social time with them, I would get a lot of flack. I'd get made fun of. You need to realize that your environment is everything. Your environment dictates your destiny. If you don't dictate your environment, you're going to get pulled right back into the world that you're trying to get away from. So lesson number 3 is if you want to become more, you need to upgrade your circle. You need to surround yourself with other 6-figure and 7-figure earning coaches. Otherwise, you're never going to get there. Lesson number 4. I used to suck at marketing, and I hated when I would see all these other online marketers that are out there like posing as coaches and getting all of these clients, but what they were selling was crap. And so I went to my first marketing mentor and I told him this. I said, I hate seeing this happen. And he said, well, Xander, why aren't they working with you? And I said, because I'm not a good marketer. I suck at marketing. And what he told me next was lesson 4. You can either have excuses or results. If you want to get more of those clients, it's a moral responsibility of yours to become a better marketer than they are so that they start working with you and they start getting results. Lesson number 5. Every coach thinks that you need to have a bunch of certifications when you first start so that people view you as credible and they're willing to pay you money. I was no different, but there was one guy in one of the certifications that I was in. His name was Gary. He had literally spent 12 months and nearly $100,000 on a bunch of different coaching certifications, and he still had 0 clients. And I had this realization that I'm never going to learn how to become a great swimmer by sitting at the edge of the pool reading a book on how to swim. So lesson number 5 is certifications don't make you world class. Experience does. The only way that you're ever going to become a 10 out of 10 coach is by working with more people. And the only way that you're going to work with more people is if you focus on becoming great at client acquisition so you have more clients to work with. Lesson number 6. When I was working in my 9 to 5, I knew I was meant for something more for a long time. But it never seemed like the right time. The opportunity never really presented itself, so I never really did anything. Then there was the day that I had a conversation with one of my good friends and mentors, James. He said, Xander, when you get to my age, you learn one thing about time. It's the one resource you can never get back. And every moment you live is either on purpose or off purpose. And every moment off purpose is a moment wasted. So be a lot more intentional about what you're doing today. Lesson number 7. 6 months into building my coaching business, my best friend committed suicide. And it completely crushed me. I literally didn't want to get out of bed in the morning and I didn't know what to do. So I had a conversation with one of my mentors, Dr. Deb, And she asked me, why did you start your coaching business to begin with? To help people, to change lives. And she said, so do that. Just because you couldn't save AJ doesn't mean that you can't go save other people that are out there. So lesson number 7 is that building a coaching business is not about you. It never was, and it never will be. When you focus on the people that are out there that need you, you can overcome any obstacle that gets in your way. Lesson number 8. I used to think that building a coaching business was all about the hustle, all about the grind. So I used to work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. And then one day I noticed I was on a Q&A and I was getting really irritated by some of the questions that they were asking me. And frankly, I was being a bit of an asshole to them. I had not had a day off in over 6 months. As a coach, you are the product. And if you don't show up at a 10 out of 10, your product starts to look pretty shitty. So lesson number 8, self-care matters. Because if you don't take care of yourself, your product is going to be crap. Lesson number 9. About 2 years into my business, I met one of my idols. His name's Adam Torin. He's the founder of Entrepreneur Magazine, entrepreneur.com. He runs a multi-8-figure business. When I was telling him about what we do with high impact coaching, helping starting coaches build businesses, he said, man, props to you. I could never work with starting coaches because they're so selfish. If this coach is not making money as a coach, it's for one reason and one reason alone. They're more focused on their own fears, their own self-preservation than the people that are out there that need them. They're asking themselves questions like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I can't do this? What if people don't pay me? What if I invest in myself and it doesn't work out? So lesson number 9, if you aren't making at least 10 to 20K per month as a coach, it's because you're being selfish. Lesson number 10. For over 6 years in my 9-to-5, I prided myself on making smart decisions. And that led me to climbing up the corporate ladder, getting the raises and promotions as an engineer at Cisco. But by the time that I got there, I wasn't happy, I was unfulfilled, and frankly, I felt empty. So from that point forward, I actually started to make my decisions more from a place of who I wanted to be and less about what was the smart decision and what everybody thought I should be doing at that point. Smart decisions lead to an average life. Lesson number 11. The first mentor that I ever hired cost me 12 grand and gave me absolutely nothing. He told me that it was going to take me a year to 2 years to build a 6-figure coaching business. He said I had to build a website, I had to build landing pages, I had to start with a free opt-in. That seemed completely illogical to me. When I worked at Cisco, I used to just go have conversations with people and build relationships, and it would build $10 million, $20 million, $30 million deals. So when I first started, I did this. I just went and had conversations with people that I knew I could help because I knew my real value as a coach was not to be worth 97 bucks. It was worth thousands. So lesson number 11, conversations and relationships are what build your business in the beginning, not complex funnels and paid ads. Lesson number 12, do you remember Clubhouse? Yeah, me neither. But about 4 or 5 years ago, Clubhouse really became a big rage. And I had a teammate basically say, Xander, you got to get on Clubhouse. It's the next big thing. It's the blue ocean. If you're not on Clubhouse, you're not going to make it in business anymore. And instead of following that shiny object, I really just focused down on Instagram because it was starting to work. And I knew if we put more energy into Instagram, we were just going to keep getting better and better at it. So let me ask you again. Do you remember Clubhouse? Yeah, me neither, because it's dead. Lesson number 12 is find something that works and do more of it. Lesson number 13, the worst client that I have ever had, I worked with a few years ago. She was flat broke. She was actually on the verge of bankruptcy. And over the course of the first 3 months, we helped her completely turn her business around. She made around 60 grand. She paid off all of her debts. Around that time period, she found out that one of her colleagues who we worked with about 3 to 6 months before working with her, we charged them less than we charged her. Our prices had gone up, and she was one of the first ones at this new price, and she was not happy about that. So she reached out and actually asked for a full refund, even though we had helped her make over $200,000 and pull herself out of debt. So lesson number 13 is some people are going to hate you no matter what, and you can't change their opinion about you. Honestly, if you're in the world of transformation and you aren't getting haters, you're probably not trying hard enough. Lesson number 14. In the early days, I was so fired up to help people that I was doing absolutely everything that I could. I had complete ownership over my schedule. So I was doing free talks, free workshops. Anytime anybody had a question or a coaching question or a life question for me, I would take the time to sit down with them and answer it. All my time was being used up and I wasn't making any money. Luckily, I had a mentor, Craig, who told me, Xander, broke coaches can't help anyone. First, focus on learning how to make money. Once you learn how to make money, you can develop time freedom. And once you develop time freedom, you can give back as much as you want. So lesson number 14 is don't be a martyr. If you end up giving away all of your energy and all of your time for free, you're gonna have to go back to a 9 to 5. Lesson number 15. After I really got my coaching business rolling, I was making great money and I had a pretty good life. And I was working with a mentor of mine who was helping me achieve my goals. And he helped me set a life goal of finding and meeting the woman of my dreams. So he had me go into my Facebook group and do a post titled Help Me Find Love. Now, this was a group of over 3,000 business owners. And I told them, hey, if I don't meet the woman of my dreams in the next 60 days by the end of this year, I'll do whatever crazy shit you guys come up with. And it blew up. There was comments like, donate your car, shave your head, fly me to Mexico. That led me to taking the actions I really needed to take. I started to go on dates. I started reaching out to people. I started to have conversations with people I would have never had before. And I had this beautiful woman from Australia reach out to me. She said, hey, I don't know if anything could ever come from this, but I find you attractive and I'd love to connect. That woman is now Maddie Fryer, my wife. So lesson 15, accountability is one of the most underrated tools that you can use to achieve success. Hell, it helped me find love. Lesson number 16. When I was earning about $200,000 a year as a coach, I joined a mastermind of nearly all 7-figure earners. I was definitely a small fish in a big pond. And because of that, I knew that I needed to grow faster. And over the next 36 months, I got my business beyond 2 million, even $3 million in my coaching business. And all of a sudden, those same people were looking at me going, how the hell did you just do that? And the answer was easy. I just tried more shit and failed at a lot more stuff, a lot faster than you did. So lesson number 16, fail faster. Your growth trajectory is more important than the position you're currently in right now. Lesson number 17. Now, if you've been paying attention to any of this so far, you've probably noticed that I have not accomplished any of this by myself. I have always had help and mentorship. So lesson number 17 is find a mentor to put yourself around and learn from them. Specifically, find someone who is living the life that you want to live, who has done what you want to do and has helped other people do what you want to do so that you know they have a recipe, they have the system, and they have the willingness to get in there with you and make sure that you get there. Hopefully that was helpful. Now, I made this channel for coaches who want to build a more successful business with more income, more impact, and more freedom than they ever thought possible without wasting years trying to figure it out all on their own. So if you like this video, comment your favorite lesson below and subscribe for more.